There have been several unexpected, monumental changes within the Jehovah's Witnesses religion over the past couple of years, and I suspect that there are many more coming soon. One of the biggest changes came in 2025 when the governing body suddenly announced that it's now okay for Jehovah's Witnesses members to go to college. Now, if you've never been a Jehovah's Witness, I could understand why you would ask, why is this such a big deal or who cares? Well, for decades, the Jehovah's Witnesses religion, the governing body, the people at the top, have strongly discouraged their members from going to college. In fact, you could say that they've put a lot of psychological pressure on their members to stay out of college. Because if you go to college as a Jehovah's Witness, you won't necessarily get kicked out of the religion. You'll just be treated like a spiritual leper.
What's a fourth means by which Satan attempts to fashion us, reshaping our thinking? Higher education.
Often also a lot of exposure to ungodly conduct in the case of ones who pursue higher education in Satan's world.
Many of us have made major decisions, made major changes in our lives in order to become disciples of Christ. Perhaps we left promising careers, perhaps we left fame, perhaps we gave up higher education, or whatever it may be.
Most of us remember the January 2015 JW Broadcasting program hosted by Brother Morris of the governing body. He focused on the value of divine education, but he also reaffirmed the dangers of pursuing higher secular education.
Now, it's true, not all who pursue higher education in Satan's world experience those pitfalls. But is it a risk worth taking? That's what we want to get our young ones to think about. I like to use the illustration of a school of hungry sharks. Now, let's say you know the statistics are that if 10 people try to swim through this school of hungry sharks, 8 of them will make it. Only 2 will be eaten by the sharks. Now, would you reason, well, that's very good survival rate, 80% survival. I think I can do it. I think I could swim through this school of sharks. You probably wouldn't take that risk, would you? Well, what's the point? Well, for those who try to swim through and survive spiritually, the figurative school of hungry sharks of higher education, probably the survival rate is not as good as in our illustration.
Its whole purpose is for learning, influencing one's thinking. And while a person's intention might be just to create a stable base for a secular future, his decision could expose him to unscriptural ideas and practices.
So then, out of the blue, a few months ago, the governing body declared that it had received new light directly from Jesus Christ sitting on his heavenly throne on behalf of his Father Jehovah God, shone down directly to the holy, sacred governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses to pass it on to the 8 million other sheep with an earthly hope that it's okay to go to school now.
Is it appropriate for Christians to pursue additional education? With this update, we'd like to clarify our understanding. We need to clarify our
understanding. Translation: for decades, we shamed higher education. We kept our members poor and limited. But now, we're quietly going to reverse course. No admission of wrongdoing, no admission of harm, just new light from Jehovah, rebranding our mistakes as clarification.
While there are dangers involved in pursuing certain forms of education, basically, whether to obtain additional education or not is a matter for personal decision.
Oh, wow! It's a personal decision now? You mean I get to actually think for myself? Thank you! No, but in all seriousness, before I explain the real reason why the Jehovah's Witnesses have made this drastic change, I can't just assume that everyone watching understands how the organization works. So Listen to what David Splain says next.
No Christian, including the elders, should judge a fellow Christian's personal decision on this matter.
So, why did David Splain stress the point that even elders are no longer allowed to judge members who decide to go to college? Because a leaked elders training video that was never meant for the public to see reveals exactly how the Jehovah's Witnesses have been conditioned to treat other members who have decided to go to college. Now, mind you, this video was made just a couple years ago.
I asked you brothers to review his qualifications as an elder. After we spoke, and Brother Brown had an opportunity to explain to me some of the decisions that he's made for his family.
And by the way, why does every single Kingdom Hall library in the world look like it was color matched to a rainy Tuesday? That stale, ugly, gray-blue color, just black.
I'm aware that you brothers have considered this matter before, but since then, another one of Brother Brown's daughters have enrolled in a school for higher education, which raises questions as to how this affects the congregation.
As far as my younger daughter is concerned, she was judicially reproved, but it wasn't announced to the congregation, so she's repentant. And no one has approached me expressing that they're disturbed about me supporting my daughters seeking higher education, trying to better themselves. It's not like they're leaving the truth.
They understand that it's a personal decision and that's something that you have to decide, but it still doesn't mean that your freeness of speech is not affected. In fact, the freeness of speech of the entire body of elders, as well as how successful we are as shepherds, has been affected as well.
Now, brothers, please open your shepherd book to chapter 8. You'll notice paragraph 30 discusses when a member of an appointed man's household pursues higher education, and paragraph 32, which outlines the procedure for reviewing the qualifications of such a man.
The same paragraph says, if an appointed brother's children pursue higher education, does his life pattern show that he puts kingdom interests first in his life? I don't think any of us can honestly say that Brother Brown's family is viewed as putting kingdom interests first in their life.
He's been belligerent. He's accused us of overstepping, and he keeps insisting that this is a personal family decision. He never took into consideration the feelings of the congregation.
After prayerfully weighing all of the facts and considering the scriptures, the body of elders unanimously decided to recommend your deletion as an elder, and I agree with them. The brothers will now explain to you the reasons why we reached this decision.
Brother Brown, as you know, 1 Timothy 3, verses 4 and 5 says that an overseer should be a man presiding over his household in a fine manner, having his children in subjection with all seriousness. The elders unanimously agree that your decision to support and encourage your daughters to pursue higher education has damaged their spirituality.
No Christian, including the elders, should judge a fellow Christian's personal decision on this matter.
So, what's really behind the sudden policy shift? Some say it's to win back the younger ones as the older generation fades. Others think it's about money. Better educated members means bigger donations. But it's actually neither. The real clue is in David Splain's tone and demeanor. See if you can pick up on this.
Nothing, I'm going to repeat this, nothing should be more important to us than serving Jehovah. So view any additional education as a way to help you support yourself while you focus your life on serving God wholeheartedly. Think about the time it will require. Will you still have time for your spiritual routine and family obligations? Could your secular studies leave you so mentally exhausted that you have no energy left for meeting preparation or personal study? What about the length? How many months or years will it take to complete?
So, this clarification is not a happy proclamation, is it? It almost seems like Mr. Splain is making this announcement begrudgingly.
Be aware that moving away from your family poses a serious spiritual danger, especially if you'll be living with relatives or others who don't share your beliefs. Ask yourself, what plan do I have in place to stay regular in my meeting attendance, ministry, and personal study? View yourself as a servant of Jehovah first and a student second. Another important safeguard is to protect your thinking abilities. Some courses might expose you to philosophy and empty deception, including atheism and evolution. A final factor that will help you to remain spiritually strong is to choose your associates wisely. If you decide to get additional education, your fellow students might try to include you in their social life. However, you need to be cautious. Although you share a classroom with your fellow students, you don't share their values. And the more time you spend with them, the more their thinking can affect you. Be alert to any warning signs and act quickly. Don't let your education keep you from giving priority to Jehovah's service.
I mean, he's clearly not happy or excited to be announcing that college is now okay. So why on earth are the Jehovah's Witnesses announcing that it's now okay for their members to go to college when they clearly still prefer that they don't? Well, it's the same reason that they're softening their stance against disfellowship members.
What if a disfellowship person comes to a congregation meeting? Under our current arrangement, we don't say a greeting to individuals who've been removed from the congregation. However, the governing body has decided that publishers can use their Bible-trained conscience to decide whether to give a simple greeting and welcome a disfellowshipped individual who attends a congregation meeting.
Hi. So good to see you here.
Thank you.
While we wouldn't have an extended conversation or socialize with such a person, we do not need to ignore him completely.
So, why exactly are the witnesses allowing their members to go to college now? Well, for the same reason they've softened their policy around dress and grooming.
A number of branch offices around the world have written to us indicating that there continue to be questions about whether or not it is proper for a brother in an appointed position to wear a beard. After prayerful consideration, the governing body has concluded that there is a need to clarify this matter. The governing body does not have an issue with brothers wearing beards. Why not? Because the scriptures do not condemn the wearing of beards.
Nor do the scriptures mandate the wearing of suits and ties, and yet somehow the Jehovah's Witnesses have forced their members to wear them for years, for decades. In fact, you can't even become a Jehovah's Witness if you don't wear a suit and tie, even though that's a man-made tradition and not a scriptural teaching.
Furthermore, as time has passed, we have noted that in many lands, it is acceptable for men who hold responsible positions in business and government to wear beards. Thus, whether a brother wears a beard is a personal decision.
The governing body has decided that sisters may choose to wear slacks when participating in the ministry and when attending Christian meetings, assemblies, and conventions.
In order to understand why these changes are taking place, we need to zoom out. In 2017, Russia's Supreme Court labeled the Jehovah's Witnesses organization an extremist organization. And what Russia exposed to the world is this. When a religion isolates its members, controls what they wear, what they study, who they can talk to or can't talk to, even their own family members, what jobs they can and can't have, what education they can and can't get, well, then that faith begins to look a lot more like a cult. And that image of unquestioning control, isolation, and obedience has become toxic for the Jehovah's Witnesses' global reputation. But this isn't just about Russia. Around the world, the Jehovah's Witnesses are facing a wave of legal scrutiny. Lawsuits over child abuse cover ups in the United States, the UK, and Australia. Investigations in Norway, as well as the Netherlands, for their harmful practice of shunning disfellowship members. And human rights complaints over how the organization restricts its members' choices for medical treatment, employment, and education. And every time the organization comes under scrutiny, they don't repent. They make policy tweaks disguised as new light and clarification from Jehovah, designed purely to protect themselves legally. We've seen it many times now. They've softened language on grooming and appearance rules. They've adjusted their stance on talking to disfellowshipped ex members. They've taken down shunning videos from their jw.org website. And now they've opened the door to college, even though you can read it all over David Splain's body language that they don't want their members to go to college. They're not happy about it, but they're doing it because they have to do it to protect themselves legally. It's not about their members being educated and donating more money. It's not about appeasing the younger generation so that they'll stay. No, it's protecting their asses legally. New light my dick. And I think now is a good time to point out the fact that I've had people in the comments like, oh, I watch other ex-JW channels and you're the only one who's so vile and vulgar. Hey, fuck you, pal. If you got a problem with me dropping an F-bomb, but it's okay for you to have another man tell you how to dress, where you can work, where you can go to school, or if you can or you can't, or what kind of medical treatments you could get, lying to you, predicting the end of the world at least a half a dozen times, obviously incorrectly, and then still telling you that you're the truth, controlling your life, micromanaging you, but they do it with a smile and in the name of Jehovah, and they don't use any profanity. So that's not vile. That's okay. But if I say fuck, then you're a little bitch. So go fucking be a little bitch somewhere else because this channel is too real for your soft ass. Fuck you for eternity. Thank you very much. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, back to your regular scheduled programming here. What I'm trying to say is that this new light coming from the governing body about dressing and grooming, about college is now okay, and about disfellowship members and all this other stuff that we're seeing happen, all these big changes. It's all about legal protection so that when the organization comes under the microscope, they can say, look, we don't control our members. Our members have freedom of choice. They can decide for themselves how to dress now. They can decide for themselves if they want to associate with ex-members. They can decide for themselves if they want to go to college. See, we don't control them. By loosening some of the most visible restrictions, the governing body is trying to appear less authoritarian and more mainstream, especially in the eyes of governments and courts that might see them as being very coercive.